to the general polls. There are some places when you get the nomination ticket for a certain party, it's more or less like a guaranteed position. Perhaps we can talk about IEBC and its preparedness. We can start with you, of course, then we'll talk a bit about maendeleo ya wanawake and affirmative seats and the 2/3 gender rule. Perhaps we can start with you, madam.
Thank you. Just to correct, the name is Moyo, not Moya.
Oh.
I think when it comes to IEBC and when you are a candidate, it is upon all of us to make sure we are on time, we are ahead of the schedule. So mine would be to call on, especially the women candidates, to make sure they have their act together, to make sure their things are ready, and to make sure the parties they are aligned to are going to be able to meet the deadlines which have been given. And for me, my party being Jubilee, I hope and wish that they will be able to get everything on time.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Diego, IEBC and election preparedness.
I still don't think IEBC is ready for the next elections until they are well funded. But what they spoke yesterday, I agree that the political parties needs to meet the deadlines, so that again they do not inconvenience the IEBC in terms of the timelines. And so all political party leaders and even the leadership from different levels, they need to up their game, so that at least within the timelines given by IEBC, they are able to deliver their candidates, of course, through nominations. Yeah.
And it's going to be something else when it comes to the nomination, I'm quite sure. And especially now that you have already aligned yourself to one of the political parties we have in the country, we're expecting fireworks when it comes to the nomination. And madam, let's talk about women 2/3 gender rule. David Maraga, Chief Justice Emeritus, did talk about we need to actually do away with Parliament because it has not observed the 2/3 gender rule. And when you're talking about politics, we are saying, oh, guns out. We're talking about we will do ABCD, we will deal with corruption. I haven't heard I will actualize the 2/3 gender rule, which has not and has never been actualized in the country.
I think, Ben, we have to say that a lot of work has been done. The Constitution has been favorable to women. There's a time we only had 6 legislators. Now we have 87 put together, the senators, the MPs, the women reps. We shall get there. It is work in progress. And I think the question for me would be, when we are there then, what have we been able to deliver? From where I am in maendeleo, I look at a lot of issues of the girl problem. I look at the teenage pregnancies. I look at the girls are now becoming mothers at 14 years. They are becoming grandmothers at 30 years. So the question for me is, when we then get the 2/3, we have a job as women to do. Poverty has increased, and it is not right when we are so many in Parliament. Our voices must be heard at the grassroots, whether it is in Tana River or it is in Wajir. We need, Rahab included, to have these numbers translate into making sure poverty levels for our young girls goes down. But now we are in a situation where 2/3 we haven't actualized, but we are confident. We know we've been promised in the BBI. Unfortunately, we did not get there. Maendeleo supported BBI from 2018 when it was launched. When I heard His Excellency speak on Jamhuri Day, he said that we shall be getting there one day. So my hope is that when we then get there, we'll look back and pick the pieces and do what needs to be done, especially for the girl child. Because for me, as a grandmother, the issue of the girl is a very worrying issue. The issue of poverty is a very worrying issue. So yes, it is work in progress. So much has been done. But Rome was not built in a day. We'll get there. We'll get there, yeah. The legislators we have are doing their job, but we need to do more. Yeah.
Women leadership in Kenya, it's not where it should be. Some other countries are doing far much better than we are. And we are hoping that this time round, that the political parties and in their campaigns, they're talking about women taking a central role when it comes to politics. Are we yet to achieve that? Yes, of course, we haven't reached there, but this election seems to be more powerful and will bring out more power when it comes to women leadership in the country.
Well, Ben, I agree with Malaga that the Constitution must be followed. A country that does not respect Constitution, then it's not really a good nation. However, especially political leadership, shouldn't be earned. And I would urge my sister here, my elder sister here, when it comes to the women leadership in this country, they are supposed to fight corruption, because we have some women representatives, maybe by nominations or otherwise, that have never spoke. They've never given anything in that parliament. So not that women are weak, but I guess we left out some very vocal people that I think she can be able to talk to the other leadership. That when we are talking of Adant, let's have Adant that can speak for not only the women but for the entire Kenyans. Yeah. So I think we should have more women come out in politics of the day. We have seen them go to an extent of some governors. And even we have seen some presidential candidates. So I encourage women of this nation not to fear men. They go for those positions. Let them come. Let us if we are competing in a class, what are they fearing in politics? So I think it is their time, Ben, that the women of this country can take up a role like any other man and come to the field of politics.
Indeed. And we are hoping that in addition to the affirmative seats that they usually get, there will be more governance when it comes to women leadership. But the seats that women you have been able to get, at least it's a good indication. 87 from 6 is quite a milestone. And do you believe that they have done what they should have done, the 87 that we have? Maybe perhaps taking a scorecard.
I want first to start, thank you, Ben, by saying that women in parliament not talking, I'm not sure we are talking about the same country, because women have been very active in parliament. And let's deal with the positive things. The Kenyan woman works very hard, right from his mother, his wife, if he's married, his sister, and you are our partners, you are our children. So where I'm coming from, Maendeleo, we have no competition between men and women. We are together in this process. This is our country. We are family. Now, as to the numbers, I want to say that I completely commend the times when we had 6 legislators, Charity Gilo, Mother Kadwa. There were a few of them, and they were able to get us a 47 seats. Maybe because they worked so hard, they felt the pain that they had to achieve something. I'm calling on my sisters then, the 87 legislators. They have worked, but I think we've also gone a lot into politics. We have to be sincere with ourselves. There is work for the girl and for the boy which needs to be done. We are no longer dealing with just a girl. We have an issue of our boy child. These are our children. We need to pick them together. So my call would be, when politics is over, can we go back as women, meet and agree? What is this agenda we want to push forward together as women and achieve? And for me, is family, is the values, is integrity. We have job to do in the family. So yes, we need affirmative action. Yes, Maraga spoke, but where is the time? Let's just move into elections and make sure at that point a lot of these things are going to be actualized for the women. And the women are capable. I mean, we have a Chief Justice seated here, right here with a Chief Justice. We have the cabinet ministers. I mean, women, we have them in parastatals. We have them as CEOs, my dear as a CEO. We have them as PSs. Women have achieved. But I would want us not to have this thing of women, men. We are together. This is a Kenyan nation. These are Kenyan families. Let us pull together. So that at the end of it, it is not a man, a woman. These are our brothers and sisters in parliament.
Yes, and we're hoping when it comes to nominations, at least there will also be, because at the end of the day, they have been accused of not actually seizing up the opportunity or grasping the opportunity when it comes. But over the weekend, Kenya has been treated to a lot of politics from Friday and of course on Sunday when we had the Jamhuri. Although the Jamhuri ones, the politics were kind of covered with a thin layer of nationalism. But looking at what ODM leader Odinga did on Friday, and he also did take about 10-point agenda. Of course, we will not go into the specifics of the 10-point agenda, but he offered himself to Kenyans. And we were speaking with you earlier on, and you said you were in Mombasa over the weekend, and a party associated with the Kilifi governor, Amason Kingi,
yes,
have also pledged to support Odinga the Mount Kenya Foundation. They talked about we are also supporting Odinga. And you are saying that politics are down at the coast are like 50-50. I would like to hear why you say that.
Then things have changed. Where we usually knew as the legions of Baba, quite a lot has changed. Likewise, even on the other side, I think the Mount Kenya we have today is not the same Mount Kenya we had in 2017 before elections. So Raila has gained some miles also in other legions. But as I've told you, and I told you earlier before we went on air, Mombasa, as for me, I was there for the last about 5-6 days. I'm telling you, Mombasa is 50-50 as we are talking. And in Central, as much as Raila may have gained some mileage, it's a very marginal mileage in terms of gain. If you go to the ground, the people who endorsed Raila, the Mount Kenya Foundation, they are just a few characters, but very influential in terms of cash, but not in politics.
Remember, they do the same thing for Kibaki and the same thing for Uhuru. They did declare that we will support, and of course, as you say, they have the financial muscle, which changes a lot of things when it comes to politics. I think the Kenya we have today, Ben, it's a little different Kenya in terms of taking money to make a decision. Okay. And the Kenyans we have today are much brighter. They know how to think, how to make decisions. Money can be poor and people can be given money. But I'm telling you, money will not get people decisions. People will make their own decisions. As it is today, if you go on the ground, you realize even an elderly man or an elderly woman is able to differentiate and know what is going on in Kenya. You've seen some clips going around for a 70-year-old man trying to even interrogate politics of the day. So I think people are more knowledgeable. People have been a bit exposed politically. And of course, by introduction of the vernacular stations, every day people are being enlightened on what is going on. So politics will not be as easy as people may think. If you look at what happened on Friday at Kasarani, many people thought every Kenyan is going there. And unfortunately, we didn't see those figures that we expected. We had only one major figure. We are talking about Oka.
None of the Oka principles was there.
At least
none of the major Jubilee principle was there. So it is still the same thing we've always seen. Raila is able to fill in a stadium in Nairobi. But there is nothing different from what he was doing in 2013 and in 2017. Okay. Yeah.
Quite an observation, I should say. Madam Rahab, looking at what Diego is talking about, the politics of 2022 will have a paradigm shift in terms of the politics that we have in the country. And you've rightly put it that this is the time that women should even be more vocal when it comes to matters politics. Odinga did talk about, at Kasarani did talk about a Kenya that will encompass and we will focus on making sure that each and every person gets a share of the pie.
Thank you, Ben. I want to say that I was actually in Kasarani.
Okay.
And I was in Jamhuri, so I can comment. Kasarani was a big event. And you don't feel it with few people. Having said that, it was good that we were taken through, when you went around the country, the former Prime Minister, we were taken through what he listened and what he was told, and it was all read out. And actually, I was in water myself when he went to the Ukambani part of it, the 3 Ukambani counties. Looking forward is that we are looking for leaders. Let them all tell us what they have on the table for us. Maendeleo is in the whole country. Maendeleo is represented. The women are everywhere. We are the grassroots. You know, this year I've been to about 25 counties. So let us hear all this, whatever we are being told by our leaders. But I would say Kasarani was a very successful event. And so was Jamhuri Day. I was touched by the president's speech. It was excellent. He covered a lot of ground. And for those of us who believe he has worked hard, leave the stories, the facts. We've been on the ground. We've seen the infrastructure. We've seen the hospitals. We've seen the gains he has brought into this country. Maybe there are people who 10 years down the road will sit back and tell us, yes, Rais Kenyatta alifanya kazi kubwa sana. That's a new place we went into. It used to be a restaurant in that place because that's my road, you know.
Yeah.
Today, it is what we saw. So for me, Kasarani was excellent. Jamhuri was fantastic.
Yeah. Yes, and let's look at Jamhuri. Of course, a lot of people did hide a lot of politics, beginning with the deputy president, and some are talking about he was calm but bullish, if I may put it in quotes, because he actually even used the national anthem to further the kazi ni kazi narrative that he is always talking about in his campaigns. And of course, it's a national event. Of course, also the president did talk about a little matters on politics. Perhaps you can comment on that.
Yeah, and I also agree with my sister here that Jamhuri was a success. And what we are looking at as Kenyans is we are trying to listen from every leader. Because if it comes to parties, women and men will vie on many parties, many others other than the two that are major parties.
Yeah.
And so we want to listen from all corners and let us hear what they are saying. On Jamhuri, with that success, I guess the only thing that I didn't find it well is that there are several projects we are hearing, which we have not just hearing, some we can see. Like the Nairobi Expressway, everyone can see it. But there is one element that we are not being told. And that element is at what cost? That is element number one. What have we gained vis-a-vis what we have lost?
Yeah.
That is another element that is not coming out clear. I do not exonerate any leader from whatever has happened on Jubilee leadership because they were both elected. So the key point is Kenya has accumulated and debt to trillions of money. And if you calculate the cost of what is being said and what we have accrued as a debt, then we are not doing well. I'm very sincere.
Yes, yes.
If you look at the Nairobi Expressway, you look at a number of tarmac roads and maybe a few other projects, dams, electrification and all that, then we are not doing well as a country. There is a leader that we could have for the last 10 years, having borrowed 3 trillion, and we see a very different Kenya. And it goes all around. If we are doing all this well, why then has life become more expensive? Why? Today, we are paying almost a triple of what we were paying before 2013 in terms of electricity. Yesterday, you saw on the news, almost every national TV, that somebody went and decided on behalf of Kenya that if we do not do 1, 2, 3, we will pay 9 billion. We will pay 9 billion. You are set to a contract that is eating into the taxpayers' money without thinking about consequences. So, personally, Ben, as much as we are saying who has really worked, which is true, but we need to realize that what the road that we are ending, whatever will be left with this country after Uhuru, will have a lot of challenges in paying of debts.
Okay.
Then we also need to know exactly who did something like we saw yesterday on Turkana wind electricity production. Who are the owners of that company?
Okay.
Yeah, the state should come out. In fact, if I was the president today, that person should not be in the office by this morning.
Okay, actually hold the thought, because we are going to come to the speech that the president did make, and of course a lot of people did talk about also in the State of the Nation address, the president did talk about a lot of things. The national debt and how we are supposed to be dealing with it, and of course there are a lot of things like corruption as well. But before then, you do remember today is we are commemorating the universal health care coverage, and it's no different here in Nairobi at the Crown Plaza, where George Gibore, who is the Secretary General of the Kenya Union of clinical officers is currently speaking or addressing the conference. Let's first of all listen in. We'll be back with this discussion.
I do not want to provide any evidence. Anyone know our resources, the way we allocate, over 89% goes to curative services. That is actually level 4 and above. So the level 3 and below normally don't get any support, and they are left without any funding, and that is to mean they can never be competitive, they can't grow, and they can't do any intervention. Let me say probably what is the Cuban model. What do they have? The Cuban model, because we borrowed a lot when the president announced that we want to go the universal health coverage. They have what we call the community containment, that is at the individual level and the family. So they focus at individual level and the family, and this is where we find that there is family doctors and a team that they actually have some household that they check on them on annual basis, and of course they can also be called to check on them at any other time when there is need. So this is to mean that they have diversified until wako na ile kitu tunaweza sema nyumba kumi. They already knows where you are covering, and if there is any aspect, you are the one who to sensitize that community and ensure that you are focusing, also highlight on the disease burden, and ensure that the government is able to take action where necessary. And also at the next level is the family doctor and the nursing team. At that level they have facilities which have at least a doctor and the team who they work with. When now you find that there is a patient in the home who needs services, you refer that patient to that team where they are already located, and they manage a certain specific family hall. And once that one is addressed, then you go to the level 3 where they have basic work team. Basic work team they can also admit, but at level 2 they don't admit. They focus to actually reinforce what the first level is doing. And when you look at that, is that they are able to admit easily, and they are well linked. This to mean their referral system is well functioning. You don't just walk to any facility the way we do, that you walk from Mathare to Kenyatta for seek admission without a structured manner. So they are well structured. At that level, if they cannot do that, then there is a hospital where they are able to do that services, because at any time you are limited in terms of the facilities, the services you are offering according to the level of facilities. And indeed, there is what they call the highest level facility is the medical institution. It is only in Kenya where medical institution, I believe this is where also we train our medical professionals. It's only in Kenya where medical professionals or other institutions are never allowed to run hospitals. Unfortunately, I need to mention that some of our facility only possess morgues instead of running hospital, where the hospital can benefit from research that happen in this institution. So it is our projective that even when we go to South Africa and even going to India, most of those facilities that we go to seek services are owned by training institution. The Kenyan system is arranged in level 1 up to 6, where level 1 we presume is the community level.
George Gibore, Kuko Secretary General of Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, their Universal Health Coverage Conference going on at the Crown Plaza as we celebrate the day today. And I think there is something that we should touch on, talking about you do remember, and especially last year, we even had strikes, and even the Kenya Union of Nurses and the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union, they talk about their workers are not in good conditions. We are not getting what we need. And also the president did come out and he has built a lot of hospitals, and especially in slums and mostly in Nairobi via the Nairobi Metropolitan Services. And that is also a campaign tool that a lot of people are using, talking about universal health care coverage for all Kenyans. So do you just believe it's just politics, or there's something being done? At least we've seen President Uhuru Kenyatta has stepped up when it comes to health care in the country. He's done at least considerably well.
I personally agree that a lot of work has been done in healthcare, because as Maendeleo from 2015, I came into office in 2014, we were able to work with the office of the First Lady. We went around the country doing the clinics. Now, in matters of NHIF, there is nothing better than that. And in fact, we as Maendeleo are looking for we are talking with Equity as we do our water, to see whether they can loan our members the 6,000 shillings for a family to be able to, to be under NHIF. So for me, I think the hospitals in the informal sectors, we never had them. We only had everybody queuing up in Kenyatta. Today you have seen Kibera, there is a place, Mkuruanjanga, there is a place, I mean there are 28, because I saw the rundown during Jamhuri Day. It is commendable. So I think Kenyans, we have to get out of this negative energy. Let us applaud what has been done. Let us be positive. We cannot build this country by going backwards. We cannot build this country by blame games. I think it is good to say this has been done well and we appreciate this. And it is good to say this has not happened, because nobody will finish this job. Kila mtu atafanya kazi yake, ataenda mwingine atakuja. So let us give credit where this job has been done. Healthcare, we've covered a lot. The Minister of Health. And we are doing all these things under COVID challenges notwithstanding. We have to be honest, because we have gone back 2 years, the whole world. Kenya was not left behind. And if His Excellency didn't do what he did with the Ministry of Health, we would have lost a lot of lives. So I think, for me, it is good to say this has been done well, thank you. This is what is missing. Let us see how we work on this. So, universal healthcare, I think a good job has been done. Matters of our doctors and our nurses, I think it is important that they are paid worth to the jobs they do. Because when we all get into those hospitals, whether we are there or not there, the amount of work they do, the sacrifices to their families are big. So instead of losing them going abroad in and out, when you go to London, most of them have been our nurses in the US, let there be a time when you sit down and look at what is this we haven't done to our doctors? What is this we haven't done to our nurses? And then we do it as a country. But I am sure there was never any free money which was not spent. I think what I'll commend on infrastructure and the loans, I don't know how you develop without borrowing loans myself. I don't know how you do it. I'm talking as a businesswoman now. I don't know how you do it without borrowing money. And when you borrow money, there is a time to pay that money. And there's a time to see what you did when you borrowed the money. So I think there's so much blame game in this borrowing. But for me, those are facts with the Ministries of Finance. Those are the people who would clarify some of these things, or the Auditor General. I don't think I'll be able to comment much on that. But
indeed. Diego, you can comment on that, because at the end of the day, we have a national debt that is actually biting Kenyans as we speak. But looking at what Maendeleo ya Wanawake chairperson has talked about, some of the borrowing has really helped in improving healthcare in Kenya, because we can comfortably say where we were in 2017 in terms of healthcare is not where we are in 2021. Care to comment on that?
Yes, I want to comment on that. And one, I'll see nobody has an issue with borrowing. Because every other president borrows, even American borrows to date. The problem that we are raising as Kenyans, because whoever is borrowing on our behalf, we are the ones who are paying. So we will complain that the cost of living has gone up, but we are not seeing the benefits that has come out of that in borrowing. The problem I have is, if you borrow 10 shillings, let us see where that 10 shillings has gone. And I think that's the message you are sending. The president himself told us that Kenya is losing 2 billion per day. Why are we losing 2 billion per day? If a round is the cost of maybe a round is 20 billion, why are we giving it at a cost of 50 billion? If the Turkana wind project is supposed to take 6 billion, Why are we paying over 14 billion? So the problem is not borrowing. The problem is the spending after borrowing. And it's still the question of integrity and the issues of corruption. So universal health care was it's a project that had a good objective. Still, it is a project that can just achieve its objective. But Ben, I want to assure you, I worked with the government briefly and surprisingly at a senior position in the Department of Health. In Kenya, health is devolved. But the national government has more money in the Department of Health than the devolved health budget. And you are talking about health. The people who buy medicines for our clinics, for our hospitals and the health centers is the county government. Yeah, but you will find when the budgets are read, the Ministry of Health receives more budget in health than the counties combined. So there is a question somewhere. Why are we having money at the end office and the health is devolved? That is number one. Number two, the agencies of the Ministry of Health, they have let us down. We have cases in court even today about KEMSA. Whereas they are supposed to be providing Kenyans with the medical equipments, the medicines, and maybe the PPEs. They delayed, and we had several scenarios where actually they are the people to blame for the deaths of some people, which is very wrong. So in this case, I may not blame the county government, but I'll still blame the Ministry of Health. That they were not quick enough, they did not supervise their agencies well enough to provide medical services to the Kenyans. But all said and done, I think we have seen some strides in the health sector. We have seen some new hospitals coming up. We have like a Kenyattas hospital, which is one of the most modern hospitals. We have quite a number of strides that we've made. As much as there are all those challenges, I think medically Kenya has really improved. We've seen even people now currently coming from South Africa to Kenya for medical care. So I guess and I think we are moving on the right direction. If we cover up those loopholes where we are losing money, then Kenya will be a great nation in this world.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And going back to the Beijing conference, which actually moved the world, and there were some declarations that were made, and of course government was supposed to help, chip in and help. As maendeleo ya wanawake, where are we in terms of the declarations that were made back then, and more so when it comes to women leadership in the country?
Beijing had, I think, 12 critical areas. And there were water, poverty, health, all those areas were there. I think we have done pretty well on health, like we have said. But one area which sincerely we have to, and that is what Maendeleo is working on, and the government is trying its best, is water. Because when you look at the dry places, it is like day and night. It doesn't rain, there's no food. It rains, everybody is being carried by water. There's got to be a serious plan in water harvesting, full stop. That's what we need. We need just to harvest the rainwater. No, there's nothing bigger than there. Just to harvest the water. Whether it is in Ukambani, whether it is in Tharaka-Nithi, we need to harvest the water. Now, we have done quite a bit on media, women in media. Those are some of the critical issues. We've done a lot with affirmative action, women and, being in politics. But we can do more. For me, there's progress. It could have been a bit slow, can be faster, but we are only 58 years old. We couldn't look like America, which is over 200 years. So let's just take a stride as it is. Let's not lose money, like my young brother here is saying. Let us not lose money at all. If the government borrows money, let money go to the right place. So I would say Beijing, we have covered quite a bit. Yes. If I remember the areas, we have covered quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And going back to the BBI, that is something that was, that is why I talked about politics were talked about, but in very small measures. The head of state did say that it was a dream deferred, and we know very well that his handshake partner was there, and his deputy was there, who was campaigning against the BBI and has vehemently opposed the BBI, but talked about a deferred dream. More or less, this could be interpreted in so many ways. Like he won't be in power in 2022, and Odinga did talk about in his Azimio, talked about the BBI as well. Can it be seen as an endorsement by the head of state, in quotes, because if at all is a deferred dream, he looks upon Raila Odinga perhaps to further the BBI agenda? A lot of people didn't expect that it was going to pop up now that it's at the Supreme Court. Do you think it's a narrative that perhaps is an endorsement, as pundits have argued?
Okay, yeah, I think I do not foresee BBI coming on the limelight again. I don't see it.
Yeah, they did talk about it was a good agenda for Kenyans.
It had quite a number of good agendas. Of course, when you introduce good agendas, you also introduce your personal agendas so that they carry together. Then good agendas will carry your personal interests. And that's exactly what the BBI was meant to do. But it had more good than bad. But personally, I do not see it come back before the next government. What I would say is that the pronouncement of the president that the BBI is deferred, it can only be defined if Ruto becomes the president. If Raila becomes the president. And that is a topic to be discussed another day. Whoever Ngondo will give us as a president, we will appreciate. But even after that, I do not see BBI come back again.
Could come perhaps via Parliament, Article 256?
Through Parliament?
Yes.
You know, it requires a majority, which again I do not see it.
The marshalling the numbers will be.
No,
it's a good observation.
Yes.
Let's wait for the Supreme Court and see what. We've had a lot of promises, Madam Chairperson. A lot of promises when we are gearing towards national polls, and of course as a champion, because at the end of the day, maendeleo ya wanawake, you look at all aspects, including governance, which in Kenya now a lot of people are haggling who will be the leader. Of course, even the CSAs are talking about we also want to go back and serve our people in our respective capacities as politicians. What would you urge women, and especially now that we are gearing up to the succession politics, so that we may endear them to participate more actively in politics and governance, so that we may have a better Kenya?
Let me start by saying that, Ben, BBI was a good thing as far as Maendeleo is concerned as an institution. And we went out there in 2018 to give our views to our late Mzee Haji, may he rest in peace. And we were very clear, because Maendeleo has been on the ground. Maendeleo will be turning 70 in a few days. And because we've been around even before government, there are stages Maendeleo has passed with the colonial government, and then Mzee Kenyattas came and to where we are today. So we went there and representing the institution with all authorities from the board and the membership to say that we support BBI, to say that we support inclusivity. This 1 week at Eketo, we have been there ourselves and we have seen. We were on the ground in 207 as Maendeleo. We were there giving views to Kofi Annan. We are not young. We've been around.
Yes.
So we have seen a lot of these things. So we were very clear that BBI was a good thing for this nation. And so for us, we look back and say, whoever gets into State House, and of course we will campaign, and we do campaign, we hope that BBI does not get lost. The women had a lot to gain in the senators. Every county, a woman was going to stand as a senator. So we are going to have women being senators, and they were going to be able to deal with this mandate at 5%, because we were looking at them to get credible women, because we also need integrity. Yeah, yes, we are women leaders, but we also need to have integrity. So we are going to have these 47 women who are going to be able to manage the 35% money which was going to the counties. And we have women governors. We have 3 now. Sorry, we lost our sister. But yes, my say to the women is that we must go for these seats. It is not going to be easy. they get told a lot of things. One thing which has not been very kind for our politics is that women are told very many things. But we also urge them to go with their integrity. Be the person you are. Don't try to be a man. Just be a woman. Rahab is here as a woman. I cannot be anything else. That's who I am. Let's just go as a woman with our integrity, with our family values, and we shall go out there and campaign for them in all the 47 counties. We are everywhere in the country. Let us not get into the men kind of thing. Let's do it with some dignity, some integrity, because we must shape this country for the future. And for me, Kenya is not 2022. For me, it's Kenya 30 years from now. How will Kenya look like? I have a feeling that is the way His Excellency is focusing. I don't think it's about the quick wins tomorrow and 2027 and 2022. I think Kenya into the future, 30 years, how will Kenya look like? That for me is my interest. So we shall support our women, we shall push them where we can, but we really want women to come and we deliver. Poverty has gone up for our girls. We have our girls giving birth at a very early age. We need to hear those voices, so that when we are in these positions, we just don't see women doing politics alone. We want to hear voices of, poverty with the girl, integrity, and Maendeleo will stand and support the women. We shall be there, and we shall be there for the men candidates. And by the way, we have the numbers. We have about 4 million votes. We are going to be throwing them into one of the candidates.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good one.
Yeah.
You want to add on that?
Yes, and I want to add on that, yes.
Kindly.
A quick one, I guess... I think we should be very careful as Kenyans, because the growth of any nation, it's about the maturity of politics. So these politics of inclusivity, they will have an issue in this country at some point, because every time that Diego as a person becomes a problem to the nation, and the only thing we want to do is to include him in the government so that that problem can be solved, then we will be adding more problems in the future. For me, where I stand, this country must mature politically. Let us compete. This issue of looking at, we will kill democracy. At the end of the day, Ben, we will kill democracy. And I'm telling you, I'm not talking just for the leaders who are there. After 30 years, we will have another cream of leaders, and the history will be learned that I can become a bully person, and the only solution the entire nation has is to include him in the government. I think we need to also mature that politics is about getting it or losing it. What I think we should do is to create an office of the leader of opposition. Let him critique the government and the policies, and
make it strong for
and make it strong, and make it strong. Otherwise, what does it today? If we have a president, why shouldn't the president do the balancing in his government? After politics, you should make a balance of your, because I don't think when we have inclusivity of major communities, it will assist Tharaka to get water, Ukambani to get water, to get power, electricity power across our nation. This is about leadership. It's not about having an opposition leader from Meru getting a senior position, an opposition leader from Masai getting a position. We should rethink the strategy of BBI. As much as we wanted to finish up the issues of tribal politics, we also need to have a strong democracy.
Yes, and still on governance, a delicate balancing act for the president when it comes to February, because a lot of CSs have shown that they want to further their political agenda. I'm talking about this because at least you've served as a chief officer in one of the counties, and you left and now you're joining politics as a servant of the people. A delicate balancing act for the president, and it will be just a few months shy of his term. Could it affect on his delivery?
I don't think so. As I was telling Madam Rahabia, the only person that you can blame for any problem in Kenya is the president. So he has power until he has that power to the next president, and he can sort out any mess until he does that. So I don't think where President Uhuru sits, I think it is not handy for him in the remaining days.
Okay, Madam, perhaps you can dig in that. PSAs, CASAs and also CSs have shown interest in pursuing other offices, political offices, and quite a number, if you ask me, and it will be from February when all seeking political seats need to resign in all cadres when it comes to politics, so that they may go and seek their political agenda or further their political agenda. Could it be a delicate balancing act for the head of state?
Cannot be, because the office of the president has the president, and therefore he has the powers to appoint the next person.
Yeah.
So that's very easily done. I mean, there is no problem. When we got Honorable Musalia Mudavadi to be a vice president for 3 months, was in 2002. I was a candidate in Yatta when President Kenyattas was standing for Yatta parliamentary seat, was standing for presidency. And that is when Musalia was appointed, and he was a VP for 3 months. So there's never in a vacuum. So I'm sure His Excellency he knows more that than us here talking here in this studio. He knows what he would do when that happens. There's no vacuum, there's no, hakuna kazi kubwa hapo. Hiyo ni kitu kidogo sana kwa rais.
Okay. Getting somebody new for a ministry for a couple of months perhaps could prove a challenge.
No.
Looking at the parties, some parties have talked about forming coalitions, and we've seen them do that. But looking at UDA, they are talking. The deputy president talked about if you other small parties or other parties want to join us, they should fold up, because we want one powerful, cohesive party that will be will have a national outlook. Do you think that is democracy, Diego? If you have to fold up your party and join, I have to fold up my party and join your party, Diego?
I don't think there is anything wrong with that. It's a personal view, or rather political parties kind of an directive. If you have followers that you want to put in the same basket, there is nothing wrong. But I do not support it myself. You saw the IMBC tell us the other day that if you lose in nominations, you may not be eligible to come back, even as an independent candidate. So if we found these more parties, then we will be rocking out several people, and we might again encourage we might encourage, when elections are stolen or nominations, and if you are leaked out and you have no other option, we need as many options as possible. Then the issues of presidency, we can support whoever we want, but you can take any other vehicle to the parliament. But I don't think it's democracy also to have few parties. It is also democracy to have many parties. Depends on where one looks at it.
Madam Rahab, would you support that? TSP party leader did talk about no, if at all we are joining any coalition as a party. The TSP party leader Mwangi Kunjuri said, we're gonna do that, but I'm coming with what I have.
Ben,
folding up parties so that we may make one cohesive party or alliance, for that matter.
I started by saying I'm Jubilee. Mandela supported Jubilee. We have been in Jubilee, we have been in the handshake. For me, we wait for the party leader to speak, His Excellency the President. So those other details I cannot comment until the President speaks about Jubilee going forward. So I have no other opinion on that.
Okay. Let's talk about promises, and because you are one of the aspirants, and perhaps, Madam, you will one day go back to seek a political seat.
No, I'm too old for that.
You've been there, done that.
There are very few Kenyans that can say what she has said.
Yes, very few. I'm done with politics. I just watch from the sidelines. But at least you will influence at least what happens in the country, because you chair one of an institution that is quite trusted when it comes to governance and leadership here in the country. It comes to promises. Well, let's look at Jubilee. When they came in, they talk about laptop, they talk about stadium, but nothing happened. And even if we go back, we'll see leaders, MPs, MCAs, governors. They've talked about what they will do for Kenyans, or what they do for the electorate. But they never do that. Should we introduce perhaps a clause, or we relook at what promises are, such that if, Diego, you're going to be the next MP for the Raka, and you promised us ABCD, I know you have issues with water, roads, electricity, But if you don't do that, can we as the electorate have that mandate to get you out of that seat? Because if we do that, then we will get a lot of politicians out of their seats. We have to hold you and tie you to your promises.
Yeah, I think, by the way, there is that option even today. The option of removing a leader through maybe getting some signatures.
But I think Kenyans are not quite empowered to do that.
Yes, they are not empowered, and most of them actually don't have that knowledge to know what their rights, constitutional rights, including that one of getting somebody out through a certain process. Yeah, so promises, politics is about promises. And I think the catch is, what do these people need? So you promise what we need without looking at the capacity. And that has been a problem in our politics. It's not just in Jubilee, even the previous governments, we have seen them promise something and they've not delivered. And so I think we should actually improve our law as a country, that if a political party comes into power, especially at the presidential level, and you promise something and you don't deliver, you are not eligible to continue vying. That political party should be dismissed, and the person who was in charge of that, if you have not delivered your first term promises, then you are not eligible for the next term. Because unless we get serious with these matters, we will always have people come and cheat us. Today we are hearing so many promises. We are hearing the bottom up, which I support. I'm a bottom up person. We are hearing also the 6,000 per person. The 6,000 promise from the presidential candidate, Raila. If he comes into power in 2022 August and he does not give us 6,000 everyone, then where can we take him? Where will we take him? If the bottom up does not bottom up, and the low class people still stays in poverty, where will we take him? So I think we should come up with a solution as a nation, that if your promises are not kept, like today I'm promising the people of Varaka that I'll get them water, at least water. Then I'll see how we can get good prices for our cereals. Green grams and the sorghum, those are the major produce in our place. How can I get prices, better prices for those produce? So if a national or a presidential candidate gives us a promise and it does not deliver, then I think we should not be eligible to vie for the next time.
Madam Rahab, do you support that leaders should now be held to their promises, to their manifesto? Because each and every cycle we're talking about, they didn't do, or my MP, my MCA, my president, my governor didn't do what he was supposed to do. Can we just get him out of office? Because now you just empty promises, and each and every cycle we just the same thing as Diego has talked about. You talk about water, roads, electricity, cycle after cycle, and he says that his places doesn't have the same things as we speak, despite devolved government and years of promises.
Let me start by saying I'm very happy to have come to studio with this young man here. I think he's the age of my sons. He's very truthful. But let me talk about Jubilee. You know, it's better you hold on to what you believe in to the end. Kama ni mbaya ni mbaya, lakini hiyo ndio yako. Kama ni zuri ni zuri. The president spoke about laptops. And I remember electricity in the rural areas used to be 50,000. It was brought down to 15,000. So that we get most of the homes which have had power, and I am a witness of that, of many homes. So for you to get that laptop, you needed connectivity at the village level, and he has done a lot of that. Me, I want us to give credit where it is due. So a lot of connection has been done. Maybe it was a good thinking, but we couldn't start with a laptop without connecting the electricity. There's another story to it that we shall not get there. Infrastructure. You just take my Mahiu as you are going to Kisii, and you see the dry pot, and you see what is happening for each country. A lot of work has been done. I'm not talking from Nairobi. I have been to 25 counties. I have seen the road network. I have seen the infrastructure. A lot of work by the president. So kama itakuwa ingine imeisha, mwenye atakuja ataendelea na pali itakuwa imebaki. So going back to this one here is my son, is to say where a good job has been done, let us give a tick. Pahali kazi haijaisha, tukumbali hii injaisha, mwenye atakuja ataendelea nayo. What was the other question? You wanted me to answer?
That is okay. I was talking about if we should hold leaders,
holding leaders accountable
to the point that you can even get them out of office.
Accountable in Maendeleo. I've been in office for 7 years. Yes, when you ask for that office, you will be held accountable. And sometimes we go through a lot of insults and things like I have seen in the office. But because you believe in this cause, you pray God to help you, not to shame you until you achieve your goal. For me, I can say the president will go home a happy man. He gave us his record. Je, mnajua si tulikuwa Jamhuri?
Yes.
Si tuliona kwa TV. People were surprised. Even look at the Uhuru Gardens where we were seated. So he has delivered. He doesn't have to keep talking. When you've done a good job, unaachia Mungu. Wewe umefanya kazi yako. You meant well with a lot of humility. You don't have to keep on saying all these things. So I think for me, I agree with him completely. Where you give a promise, deliver as a leader. As to how we shall be removed in office, I don't know. Because this is Kenya. Some can come maliciously and start removing you and say we have a law and bring whistleblowers because they don't like you. But I think we have to get in offices with integrity and with the trust of God that I have asked for this job. This is what I intend to do. Please let us do it. I agree with him 100% there. Yeah.
Diego, you have been in the service of people as a chief officer in the counties, and now you're seeking an elective post. We've seen other people do the same thing where they were in government and now they are seeking a political agenda. What ails our leadership style and governance? Because you have been serving people, but you find some leaders will go out there, they will be voted in, but they won't deliver exactly what they talked about in their manifestos or in their promises.
Yeah, one, I think we are lacking in our leadership. There is very little of public participation, very, very little.
Okay.
And I believe this time around, even the people who have political ambitions like me, before even we develop our manifestos, we need to seek people and talk to them. What do you want? Because I may develop a manifesto of my family, what me and my wife and my children want.
That is what Prime Minister did. I like what you're saying. Sorry to interrupt. That is what the Prime Minister did. He went looking for views from people. Correct?
So we need the views. I agree with you. We need the views from people, so that at least we have a people-oriented manifesto. And when we have those budgets, we are able then to do budgets according to the needs of the people. And that is the major problem that we are having. So the leaders are doing manifestos on where can I get something extra for myself. So you want to build a bridge where there are no people around there. You want to tarmac a road that has like 2 cars in a month, which passes through that road. And you leave out very critical things like medical care, critical things like water, which she talked about. Actually, the first thing that the next president should concentrate on is delivering water to all Kenyans. Let every Kenya have water, access to water. Where I come from, there are people that travels over 40 kilometers to look for water in Itharaka constituency. And we are celebrating, I don't know, some years, 58 or something of Njamuri. And there are people walking over 40 kilometers to look for water. Seriously, we have a problem. So I think we need to have people that are looking at the key needs of the people.
And base their manifestos on the same.
No matter what we do, Ben, in this country, and the people have nothing in their pocket, people cannot access food, people cannot have water, then our leadership will be questioned. And I guess from that, the next problem is corruption. Corruption. Almost all levels. And we should not just blame the government. Who does government corrupt with? It is us people. So it starts from us. Today, where I'm vying, or everyone else is vying, every meeting, you dish out money. Those people, where do they think that money will come back from?
The same place after they've taken office.
Of course, when you take the office, you get your money back. So I think we need to grow all of us and elect leaders with integrity, leaders that have a vision, that have a clear picture of what they are coming to do for you. so that if they don't do it for you, you have a legal authority to chase them out of their offices.
But with all due respect, from what you're talking about, we've seen the deputy president dishing out money. Perhaps he might, I'm just saying, perhaps he might think of recouping back his money when he takes leadership, and you ascribe to what he ascribes to.
Everybody dishes money. Even the former prime minister, he dishes money all over.
No, about him, because
no, you know, I'm generally now speaking. Yes. Almost 99% of politicians, they must give out money. It is a societal problem. It is a tradition that needs to be cut off.
It's something that Kenya should change.
Yes,
the mindset.
It's a culture.
The problem is that what we have is poverty levels are quite high. And at the end of the day, you did say that the last thing that you do, you are the one to go at the barrel.
It's a culture that should change. But I do not blame anyone for helping groups. You know, they are like if we're having a church building and you come and be part of that building, it's a blessing also to give. But you see, there is a giving that looks like a corruption, where you are bribing, and there is a corporate in giving. Today, I might call my mom here to come to my church and be a blessing to us when we are buying a kimbund. Even if she's vying for a political seat, I may not call that. Really is just helping. But again, we need to change as a society. We need to change as a society.
And something that somebody would ask, you're almost celebrating 70 years of maendeleo ya wanawake. Perhaps you can touch on some of the milestones that you've been able to accomplish, and some of the future plans, and what role are you going to play in our succession politics? At the end of the day, you have a voice in Kenyan politics.
Yes. Thank you, Ben. Maendeleo started in 1952, just to touch, with the colonial governor's wife, and later 1958 our women came in, and Mama Phoebe Asio was our patron, was elected. We covered a lot of work, including sending the first woman to LegCo. The women were, you know, there in the struggle for independence. They were able to meet the founding father, who really believed in the women to be in leadership. Going forward, the maternities, the clinics, all these chamas were started by Maendeleo. After about 30 years in the leadership of Mrs. Kiano, who we owe a lot of respect, and the late patron, she was able to put up the Maendeleo building during her time. And that has helped the institution to survive, at least even when there is no donor funding. It runs its affairs from the income of that building for the last 40 years.
Yes.
The dream of the institution was that what the founding father wanted was that when the first loan of the first building is finished, which finished in 1986, is that we do regional buildings. And I'm happy to say that we are going to be doing groundbreaking ceremony of a second Maendeleo building in Mombasa, God willing, by February, and His Excellency and our Minister, Professor Kobia. We have been able to meet Heichi, and he has agreed to be able to do breaking ceremony for us, and we start building a second house. It's also good to say that the property now is in the name of the institution after 40 years. So now we have about 24 plots. We are processing titles. And you know, those are development plans, investments. What else have we been able to do? We've sat in many boards. Maendeleo was a founder in the NAC board, and we've been in the NAC board from 1999 until the other day when we were not in the board. An issue we brought up to be considered to be reinstated, because a lot of all these women things, the girls, you know, like we were in the MTSCT, that is mother to child transmission on HIV. A lot of all these things we are doing in Beyond Zero with the Office of the First Lady.
And actually, there's a pertinent issue I wanted to raise. Over the COVID period, we've witnessed a lot of abuses when it comes to women and young girls. That is what I want you to come in and give it a spin when we come back. But first things first, let's have a break, then we'll be right back. But let me appreciate Roger Simiyu, who's following, Joshua Gedure, you're also following from Mombasa. Wakienyeji, Amid, show ni moto kama pasi. Thank you so much. You've said where you're watching us from, but we do appreciate. And also Stephen Okumu, pongezi sana, KBC 1. We'll be back after this short break.
you could be seated there, not knowing you're the newest millionaire in town. Want to know how? Visit ufaa.go.ke or dial *361# and find out if there's any unclaimed cash and other financial assets in your name. Labda umeomoka na ujui. Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Receive, safeguard, reunite.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
The Amazons.
I want to do things the right way so that I can offer the man I love the love of my life.
What's going on? Is it something serious? Alejandro! The boss called and he ordered me to move all of your stuff to another bedroom, madam. What? I know the truth. I feel it. Since the first time I saw Alejandro in front of me, I felt it. What in the world are my daughters doing here?
The Amazons.
Abantu ba Minto Mbuyamole.
Your favorite Ekegusi station, Minto FM, is now at your doorstep. Enjoy the hottest Kisi music, informative and entertaining shows, and reliable news only on Minto FM. Tune in to Minto FM on 91.7 FM in Nyamira, Kisii, and its environs.
Minto FM in Nyamira,
Welcome back. This is KBC News Check in case you just joined us, and I'm hosting a very formidable tag team here. We have Maendeleo ya Wanawake Chair Lady, who is Rahab Muiu. And Muiu, I've gotten it right. Yes. And of course, we have a governance and leadership expert, Diego Ngoge Wilson. And we are looking at the politics of the day and, of course, governance when it comes to matters national politics. And before the break, we were talking about some of the milestones Mandela has been able to achieve in terms of governance and leadership here in the country.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think we were talking about a groundbreaking ceremony of our second Maendeleo House. Mm-hmm. We are also in the process of getting 24 plots, titles for 24 plots. His Excellency is helping us get them through. He requested the ministry to help us. Mm-hmm. We must say Maendeleo has worked with the government over the last 7 decades. So for us, it is a question of our women are the grassroots. So we need security. And so we find ourselves comfortable, safer within the government than just being simply an activist because of our numbers. And we are in the whole country. We then have a national water harvesting project, which we started in Kajiado in 2019. First of all, we were able to do the documents. We are on clear, very good documents, as you can see, strategic plan until 2024 when we shall do our elections. And when we launched the Musoni project, the water project in Kajiado 2019, His Excellency then launched for us in 2020 during our AGM, a year tomorrow, where he was our guest, and he launched the project for us. It is in 25. We've been to 25 counties this year, challenges of COVID notwithstanding. We have done deliveries in about eight counties, but the top best where we've delivered twice is Nyamira, is Migori, Machakos is topping my county, is Kajiado, and tomorrow we shall be going through this in our AGM. Maendeleo was not doing AGM yearly. Now we are doing a third AGM tomorrow. So we have structured the institution. As we look at 70 years, we are challenging the country. There are times Maendeleo was under commissions in the 80s. So the question we have is, if we've been able to go up to 70 years, why do we need to have political parties for an individual, for every day, for every 5 years? So we are challenging the nation, and we are saying you can do it. It's been challenging. My time was very tough. But here we are. We are talking about going to do a building. We are working with structured documents. We are doing AGM every year. We have a building now under our name where we can go and invest. We have titles coming out for the other counties, so it is possible to be patient. We need our men, you people. Please be patient. You want to be in that state house like tomorrow. The office is not vacant. We start by saying that as Maendeleo. We have worked with the government. It will be 70 years now, and we shall be there to support one of the candidates. I think we've been quite clear, but I don't want to go there now. That we are looking, and all the candidates are ours in Maendeleo, whether it is a prime minister, whether it is a deputy president, whether it is a former vice president.
Actually, you just
they are all ours.
I wanted to ask us, as Maendeleo ya wanawake, have you decided to take any sides? Because at the end of the day, you also champion matters, governance, and leadership as well.
I think we have. We have made an announcement. I have made an announcement. I'll be getting the AGM tomorrow, which is 752 women seated all over the country, delegates. I'll be talking from KSG Government School in Nairobi. My team has left. We shall have the whole of coast in Mombasa, KSG. We shall have Rift Valley, the whole of them in Baringo. We shall have others in Embu, KSG. We shall have others in Kisumu. And we will be talking tomorrow. But tumependekeza that we have felt like Azimio asked us questions and we were able to give some answers. So for now, as the chair, nimembed kidogo. And because we've been in the handshake, we have felt, because we campaigned, we were in the campaign. I went around the country twice, as you can see these photos. And so the day the former prime minister brought the handshake, we as Maendeleo, you see where our office is and where anniversaries, we saw all the dramas. We felt relieved. As women, we want security. We want peace. So we embrace the handshake. And that's how we embrace the BBI. So for us now, I'm talking as Rahab now because I have 14 counties from Rift Valley and I have to hear what they are also saying. But we seem to be starting to lean on a side of the Prime Minister. But we want to wait to be told other things as we go forward. Then we shall see. But indeed, for now,
and indeed you've heard it first here on KBC, is that they are more leaning on the other side of Azimio la Umoja by former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who did talk about Azimio on Friday, and they are supporting the handshake. They are behind the president. So you heard it first, and of course they've talked about they are still in consultation and hearing other voices as well. But Diego, talking about national politics, now that our mom here has helped us in that, looking at the succession politics, looking at Azimio, and we have the bottom up by the DP, it's 8 months to the general polls. All the candidates are keeping their, let's say their cards close to their chest. They haven't talked about their running mate, which will of course change the whole matrix when it comes to the leadership in the country. What do you think are the chances that that will play a key role? Not forgetting that there are a lot of people who don't like politics. They are like not decided yet. How will they shape up the running mate factor and those Kenyans who are yet to perhaps take sides, for lack of a better word?
I think at least for a presidential candidate, I'll differ with Ma'am. I can assure you, Ben, the more the president continues to endorse Laira, the more Laira is losing the ground. I would have wished that the president stays away completely from the politics.
But he hasn't. A lot of people are talking about, we are seeing signs that he is supporting people. But he hasn't. They are not
signs. Since it is now, it is clear.
You're saying it's an open secret.
It is not an acrostics. It's an open secret. Everyone knows president supports Laira for the next president.
Okay.
And the more he does that, the more actually he is affecting the chances of Raila becoming the president.
Why do you say that?
You know, democracy, it's about, presidency is a symbol of unity. And democracy is about letting people make a decision from hearing. And I like what she said, that as much as they've already earned from the former premier, and they are feeling like he has good things to do to this nation, they are also open to listen to others. That is the spirit. Let us hear everyone. But everyone will ask, why should the president take sides?
But perhaps, at the end of the day, he wants his legacy and what he is doing. Somebody who will more or less safeguard his legacy and what he has been able to achieve.
No, it's not about legacy. It's about personal interests. And by the way, we need to be very honest to one another. I'm not saying Raila is bad. I want you to listen to me very clear.
Yes.
I am just saying that as a symbol of unity,
yes,
he needs actually to stay out of 2022 politics. And that will give him a very better name after 2022. Because
stay as clear from
yes.
Okay.
Because he's a man that also maybe the children may need such a position in the future. And I can assure you, Ben, this is what's gonna happen in 2022. You remember this clip that Ruto will win.
Okay.
There will be some few issues here and there, but God will help us to go through those issues. But my prayer is that Kenya will remain at peace. Whoever wins, because God knows who will win, as much as I've also been on the other side. God knows who will be the next president. But personally, I can assure you, the ground as it is today, if we vote this in December, Ruto will be the president.
Okay, perhaps we can get some comments from our viewers.
Can I touch on the running mate?
Yes, you will, yes. Of course. Somebody speaking, watching from Maua Meru, a good discussion going on. I would ask Diego to come to Azimio movement because his sober mind will be corrupted in Yuda. Kudos Mama Rahab, as what Cyrus Motuku is saying. He says, ask this young man what he understood from the president comment during Jamuhuri. Uhuru Garden was grabbed, but now we have it. Diego has no idea on politics, but it's just some months. Utachukia siasa. Of course, we have to get the positives and the negatives as well.
Of course.
Who was on the other side the day she was there, and Munya etc. Roger Simu, you're saying you're following. Joshua, you're also following. Okay, because of the interest of time.
Let me say this.
Yes, and then you will wind up with the running mate.
Before we go to the running mate, as I've said, my board is 58. 47 are county chairs, 14 are from Rift Valley. The former Prime Minister, the Deputy President, Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka, Vice President Musalia, these are our children, all of them. And we as mothers, we must talk as mothers. Hatutaki nyumba yaribike. Our business is to put things together. We have had the Prime Minister. Na sisi vile nimesema, we've had na some embedding that side. Deputy President is a very shrewd politician. So we are waiting to hear is part of it, right?
Yes.
But as an institution, we also feel the devolution we enjoy today, we enjoy courtesy of the former Prime Minister. what you people are not good in siku hizi. Sometimes you can say wacha huyu aende na mimi nitakuja. With the age of the former Prime Minister and with the sacrifices he has done for this nation, we can also ask ourselves, can we also be grateful as a nation? No. So we are thinking, not saying Deputy President is not a good candidate, Kalonzo. We're just thinking and saying, a lot has been done here.
Okay.
This Muse, and then in conclusion, I haven't had His Excellency the President, unless I didn't hear, say he supported anybody. Maybe I have not heard that statement, but my son here had. So let him tell us where he had.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as we wind up in less than a minute, please.
Yeah.
So that we have a Democratic Action Party Kenya holding its first National Delegates Conference. Perhaps you can touch on that.
Then actions speak. Yeah, many a times that Jesus did something and you won't interpret what he meant. So actions speak. So we know where the hands and the minds of the president is.
Okay.
I however want to say that let's have peaceful campaigns. And whatever God gives us as a leader
will be our president.
Become our president.
Correct.
All of us.
Yes.
I support the Deputy President and Dr. William Samuel Ruto as a president. My sister supports Raila, but we are friends.
Yes.
So let's not the two divide the Kenya. We need to live as one nation. We need to love one another, and at the end of the day, we shall have a president anyway, and the Kenya must move on. Yeah.
The
deputy president issue will really
let's
change.
talk about running mate. Talk about deputy president.
Sorry. I'm saying the deputy president of the people who are contesting for the presidency.
Okay.
So the running mate of either Ruto or Raila will have an impact on the numbers in terms of the political numbers. Most of them are looking at the central, and I can guarantee you that most likely both of them will pick a running mate from central. I would love to see if any one of them picks a lady. I would really love that. If any one of them picks a woman, let me use a woman as a running mate, that would be fantastic.
It will be great.
But we are looking at them. I know there are some who are trying to look at their strategies, look at the Luya, look at Ukambani and all that. And even some, and I'm not trying to imply Raila, may actually go for a running mate in Rift Valley.
Okay.
You will be very surprised.
All right.
But all those are options.
They say 8 months, a day in politics.
Before you conclude, my AGM tomorrow gives direction. I have given.
You have given a personal
yes. So when I sit with my AGM tomorrow, watatuambia, but nitapendekeza pia.
All right.
Where I think we are.
Thank you so much, Rahab. We are maendeleo ya wanawake chairperson and Diego. Always a pleasure having you on board for that sober conversation. Of course, we will continue this conversation on social media, as you've seen some of the comments as well. And of course, we are winding up that discussion so that we may also get into the festive mode. Yeah, you know, how are we going to spend the little resources that we have, bearing in mind our kids will only be in holiday for a couple of days and then back to school, and we have to balance between the festivities and responsibilities that are facing us as we start the year 2022. Thank you so much for watching. We are continuing this conversation on these others, and of course we have the Democratic Action Party Kenya, which is holding its first National Delegates Convention at the Bomas of Kenya. As you can see the live pictures there, of course there will be a lot of entertainment, and they are also expected to be naming who they are going to be leaning on or who they are going to be supporting. And definitely when the speeches do commence, you can see Wafu MP, Wafula Wamunyinyi, and some of the and our CS Wamalwa is also expected in that, and is also already. My director tells me that CS Wamalwa is already at the Bomas of Kenya for that event, which they are supposed also to announce who they will be supporting come 2022 succession politics. As I've said, is that we will be going to the speeches when they come. We hear what they have in store for Kenyans. So let's wrap it up, and we will be back in a few.
Thank you. It was excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes. Excellent.
mheshimiwa hivi na mheshimiwa Munya. Kujeni hapa. Wawili peke yao. Alafu ina dada mkitayarishe all ladies you're coming here. Because of
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
Tutanguliza kwa kauli kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ula an ra'iyatihi, yani kila mmoja ni mchunga na kila mmoja ataulizwa kuhusiana na kile ambacho amekichunga.
Tutaleaje watoto wetu? Je, tuwalea vipi watoto wetu? Je, watoto wetu wana maadili ama je watoto wetu wana adabu ama watoto wetu wana tarbia nzuri?
Tunapanga mambo yote kwa ajili ya nani?
Hapa sitakufungia tena. Una ruhusa ya kutembea kila mahali unapotaka.
Safari, umewezaje wewe kuishi na huyu Kate?
Amekataa tena, hataki kupambana na Kate tena. Mimi sijui utakaje, hata simuelewi.
You said to solve a problem you have to speak to each other decently.
Kumbuka, Dingo ni mume wangu mimi.
Welcome back to KBC News Check, and for the next 40 minutes or so we'll be discussing another issue away from politics. Christmas is finally here with us. It's actually next week. Yes, next week is Christmas, and after next week, the other week, we are also celebrating the New Year, and of course that same week we have our schools reopened and our kids back in school. So how do we balance all that and ensure that we don't feel a pinch? You've seen even memes talking about Januaries where people eat a lot of greens, cabbages, kumawikis after feeding on chicken and the goats and the cows. But how do we get that balance so that we may not end up in financial problems? That is our discussion now, and I'm joined by Mr. Peter Masharia, who is a financial expert.
Yes.
Is the right word to call you, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little about what you do.
Thank you very much for inviting me to the studios today.
Karibu sana.
I'm a banker by profession, having done around 30 or 40 years of banking, locally and internationally.
Okay.
And after I left the bank, I set up a microfinance by the name Jijenge Credit. And that's where we are. We do business consultancy, like what you're going to discuss today.
Yeah.
Yes.
And talking about, you've talked about banking. From the statistics released by a lot of financial institutions have shown that a lot of Kenyans don't save. And the saving culture in Kenya is quite minimal, if you ask me. But also the issue is that you find that there is nothing to save. But some people do talk about ukijipanga. You might find you might have some few coins to save. What can you talk about our saving culture? Because if at all you have saved something, when it comes to festivities like Christmas, you will not feel any pinch.
That's true. Ordinarily, or rather locally, or in Kenya, the saving culture is not fully embedded. And it's a very major downside on the Kenyans and the Kenyan economy by itself, because ordinarily savings comes in when hard times come in, and it's a culture and an attitude that needs to be shed right from nursery school all the way to university or even business life or working life, so that in your old age you have a penny or two to save you in the hard times when you are not physically strong to toil and work for yourself. Yes.
This is a dilemma that a lot of Kenyans are facing. You find that you could be earning more money than I make, but I'm able to save. How do you change that pattern, and how do you inculcate a saving culture when it comes to holidays? And you find somebody posting on IG or on Facebook in Dubai, YOLO, life is short, and that is somebody who has saved for that, as opposed to somebody taking a loan or the mobile loans to enjoy him or herself. How do we balance this? How do we do this so that one of the New Year resolutions perhaps will be I will start saving, and when it comes to January you don't start saving? How do we inculcate that culture so that when we are faced with holidays or eventualities, we have something that we can use to save us?
Thank you. It calls for a lot of personal financial discipline, so that you're able to keep a shilling or come up with a saving, inculcate a saving culture in our youth, and as you're saying, in the people who have the 6-digit salaries. Because ordinarily for you to plan for a holiday, you're not supposed to get a loan to finance a lifestyle or to go on holiday, to go to Dubai and such places. You're supposed to plan, budget, and set aside some cash for that particular holiday or for that particular excursion, so that you don't, when it comes to January, you don't feel the pinch, or you don't start saying or cursing the holiday season. And the holidays are very good and very healthy, and therefore it's a culture that we need to really encourage and educate our youthful generation, so they can develop a budget, a holiday budget, as opposed to getting holiday loans, which we offer at Jijenge Credit.
You also offer,
we offer holiday loans. Yeah.
Somebody will still continue sinking into debt when it comes to that. But I know very well Kenyans do like actually at least ventilating a bit and enjoying themselves. That is why you also come up with that product.
Definitely.
It must be, you must be enjoying a lot of applications this month.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Between the last month and this month, most of the loans are for those holiday parting. Yes.
And now, at the end of the day, you're going to get that loan. In January, we have our kids back to school.
Yes.
What, at the end of the day, if I take a loan at your institution, January I will be required to pay school fees and everything. What percentage of my salary should I put into savings, and more specifically for holidays?
The best advice or the best percentage we can advise our viewers to put aside is around 10% of your gross income should be set aside as savings. So that in case you lose your job or in case you have an emergency, that savings should be able to take you 6 months without any additional income. You should kick in and pay for your bills, pay for your daily expenses without getting an extra coin from any other source, even including your salary. That is how the savings culture should be. That is what we recommend. However, for Kenyans or most of the people we encounter, they borrow to use on that particular instance. And if you look at the academic calendar for this year and next year, it's shorter as opposed to the 3 holidays in 1 year.
Yeah, parents don't even have time to breathe.
Exactly. Therefore, immediately after Christmas, on 5th, most children will be going back to school, either primary or secondary schools. And therefore, the breathing space or the time to reorganize your finances is too short. And therefore, my advice to parents this season, please come up with a budget. Don't spend, don't rush into any expenses. Avoid impulse buying, and always try to maybe use bonga points or let's say the loyalty points when you go to supermarkets and all that. So every coin that you're able to save and keep for January can be there to pay school fees and take our children to school without much hassle. Yes.
And also, there are a lot of parents who do give their kids money for the festivities. How much is too much? Because we will find our youth overindulging, and we've had even the ministry and the government talking about a lot of parents who have abdicated their responsibility as parents. That is why we are hearing of even schools being banned. So when it comes to giving our children money, how much is too much to avoid overindulgence?
Personally, I would recommend there should be no money being given to children. It should be if there's any money to be given out, it should be structured. What I mean by that is, for example, if your child approaches you with a certain expense, it should be an expense that is suitable to her academic life or to her something that will add value to her academic or physical life. For example, if a child says he wants a bike, that's a reasonable expense. But if somebody wants cash, which is not accountable, that one should be discouraged, because by and large, at some point in future, that person needs to be trained on being accountable. You should be able to give that child 100 shillings. They go to a shop, buy bread or buy milk, and bring back the change. Therefore, as I've said earlier, the saving culture and the accountability culture should be inculcated in our children, so that in future we are able to have responsible Kenyans who can be given very huge responsibilities like running corporations or being managers in various organizations, and they should be accountable to every cent and to the board and to the public also. Yes.
When it comes to December, there's a lot of impulse buying and purchasing of things that you had not planned for. And because we have today is 14th, we have 10 days or so to Christmas. How can we avoid impulse buying? Because you will find supermarket with all their offers, and at the end of the day they want you to spend more money, because if they have an offer on a particular item, you will be pulled to buy something else. How can we avoid impulse buying when it comes to festivities?
The best way to avoid impulse buying is, number one, come up with a budget. And that budget should include the shopping list. Before you even leave the house, do the shopping list and put an indicative pricing and budget for each item. And as you leave the house, can you agree with the person or the people you're going to the supermarket with that there will be no other items to be purchased outside this list? In that way or in that space, you inculcate personal finance discipline, so that you will not be distracted. Even if you see an offer for sale for a discount of 100 shillings, please don't buy as long as it is not in your budget or list of items to be bought.
Yeah, and especially I've seen a lot of supermarkets with very good offers when it comes to alcoholic drinks,
Beverages,
of which is going to eat into your budget, something that you had not planned for, 100 shillings. Yes, now, parents, some parents have inculcated saving culture when it comes to their kids. You've talked about when you send a kid milk and bread, they should bring back the change.
Yes.
Well, I do remember back in the days we had those piggy banks that you were asked how much money, 10 shillings, you're told to go put it, more or less like developing that saving culture. But a lot of parents don't encourage their kids to save, or when they do, they just ask a kid to retain the money. But they don't know how much that kid is saving. Perhaps that kid might decide to use it for, I'm telling you, a lot of kids are going to be taking and consuming alcohol and other substances over this period. How can we check that as parents?
Thank you. The best way to check on that is to inculcate the accountability culture, such that if you send your child to the supermarket or to the shop within the estate, let them be accountable. Let them buy the goods you've sent. Come with a list of the receipt and the balance, and that balance should be handed back to you, cent to cent. You should not buy the idea that I lost 10 shillings here, another day I lost 20 bob. If you accumulate that, that's 100 bob, and you don't know how that 100 shillings will be used. So the best way is to encourage and inculcate that accountability culture, and it will take the country very far, because when these children mature, they will end up in responsible positions where we have been, and we've been personally have been very accountable, an excellent manager, and I've never lost or misappropriated funds that have been put under my watch. Yes.
And of course, as a credit, a savings credit and financial institutions, you'll be having a booming business when it comes to the holiday loans, just as you said. And in January, we will be back there to ask for school fees. What advice can you give somebody? Because at the end of the day, that's two debts, and we just keep sinking deeper and deeper into debt, bearing in mind the COVID pandemic did hit us so much when it comes to our financial muscle.
Well, as an organization, what we also do, we look at the application form and where the funds are going to be taken. And if it is more so being taken for holiday, we usually have offer free consultancy services. And we advise our customers on the appropriate ways of spending or investing funds that have been borrowed. Because at the end of the day, whatever coin or whatever shilling is borrowed must be paid at a profit or at with some interest over and above the principal amount. And therefore, we encourage our customers to invest wisely. If possible, we encourage them to invest in business whereby the returns are going to be realized. Yes.
A lot of people don't see the need to save for holidays or some out-of-pocket expenditures. They think when the holiday comes, we will use what we have. And that has not, you've been in the financial sector for a very long time. And you can bear me witnesses, people don't save for eventualities like holidays. People save for other factors or for other uses, but not holiday. But when it comes to the holiday, they use the same money to spend it perhaps even thriftily.
It is true, the saving culture has not been fully embedded in the Kenyan market, and it came into fore when COVID-19 hit the country. And that's why you realize that most businesses and most families were really adversely affected by lack of funds to sustain them, especially when layoffs were put into place by most organizations, where employers were being told to either be on half pay or step aside for a few months. as they observe the COVID impact of the pandemic. During that time, that's when the saving culture, most people and most organizations remember that they are supposed to be saving. And therefore, my advice to the academic fraternity is to bring on board or to have a subject on financial management and saving, so that our children in school and our graduates can be fully advised on how to manage their finances.
Now there are mobile loans, and there are even micro loans from banks which you can just access via USD. And a lot of Kenyans, without naming any of the of those mobile loans, or even the mobile phone companies have a way that you can get 5, 10, or even 20,000. And of course, the central bank will now be regulating that. I would want your take on that. And also, how do you get yourself out of these mobile loans? They are so sweet, you know.
Yes,
if we are having something here, we're drinking something, and of course, in Maisha, you see, you just and then you ask for some more, and you find a lot of Kenyans are sinking further, and deeper into debt, and even there are some presidential candidates using that, saying that we wouldn't want our youths to sink in the small loans. You might not think that they are digging deep into your pocket, but they are, because their interests are over the roof. How do you get out of those small loans? At least for these big loans, you know very well, it's a check-off system. They can deduct from your pay, but the small micro loans from mobile loan banks and mobile loans companies.
Thank you. Well, I may start with the last point of the presidential candidates. What I can say about them is that those are populist remarks, and they are not giving Kenyans any tangible solution. But if we look at what CBK is doing, I would like to thank them for the efforts that they are trying to do, so that they can rope in the mobile the mobile lenders, because the biggest challenge with those the mobile apps is that is the ease of accessing the funds.
Yes,
because you see, there's a thing that says come easy, go easy. You see, when you access those funds easily, and maybe your state, as you are saying, that people could be having sharing a drink somewhere at a social place. So maybe you're even applying for those facilities when you're a bit intoxicated. So the decision making, or the state of mind is not rational, and it's not perfect. Therefore, when you're told that you applied for 20,000, you can't even tell how you applied. You can't even know how you spent it. So that ease of accessing those funds is what needs to be a bit to be fine-tuned, so that number one, when you're accessing those funds, you can be told of the costs and the consequences of failing to pay. So once you accept those terms and conditions, maybe the app can take you to the next stage of now applying for the funds. So that by and large, the process of applying those funds could be a bit can be tweaked a bit to make it a bit cumbersome, so that it should not be easily accessible. I don't know how they are going to make it a bit tedious to apply, but also on the flip side, we need to also encourage technology, because if all organizations follow the traditional method of lending, it will slow down the speed of the growth of the economy, because traditional lenders like Jijenge Credit and most banks, they only operate maybe from Monday to Saturday, and from 5 to 8.
Yes.
But on the flip side, those micro lenders, mobile lenders, you're able to access those funds even at midnight.
Yes, yes, and that's a big problem. But we will be winding up this conversation. But before then, the Democratic Action Party Kenya, DAP Kenya, is having its first NDC at the Bomas of Kenya, and among others, CS Munya is there, and also CS Wamalo, who is currently addressing the gathering. Let's first of all listen in.
Harambe! Harambe! Mbona tusikii sauti? Kina mama peke yao. Kina mama mko? Kina mama hai. Harambe! Okay, tusikie wanaume sasa. Harambe! Hao ndio wenyewe. Asante sana. Kwanza ni washukuru sana nyote mliofika, wajumbe wetu kutoka sehemu mbalimbali za taifa letu kwenye ukumbi huu wa kihistoria. Na nishukuru sana wale wageni wetu wametutembelea, akiwemo ndugu yangu Mheshimiwa Peter Munya, waziri wa kilimo. Akiwemo gavana wetu Sospita Ojamo. Akiwemo waziri mwenzangu Peter Odoyo. Akiwemo mzee wetu Mheshimiwa Waziri Noah Wekesa. Akiwemo mama wetu wa kwanza wa kaunti ya Bungoma Regional Nasio. Akiwemo Mheshimiwa aliyekuwa mbunge wa Webuye Joash wa Mang'oli. Akiwemo aliyekuwa mbunge wa Kimilili Suleiman Murunga. Akiwemo spika wetu wa Trans Nzoia County Assembly Joshua Werunga. Wakiwemo waheshimiwa MCA zaidi ya 50 walio hapa, karibu sana. Wakiwemo seneta wetu Bito. Wakiwemo our new party leader Atanas Wafula. Bunge la Afrika Mashariki Furia Puri. Wakiwemo SG wetu Bwana Daktari David Eseli Simiyu. He's one of the best Secretary General in the Republic of Kenya. Akiwemo rafiki yangu sana David Muchele, our chairman.
That is Defense CS Eugene Wamalwa there, introducing some of the people who have attended the DAP Kenya first NDC. Peter Odoyo, the likes of Noah Wekesa, CS Munya, and of course when they come back to the speeches, we will be taking that feed so that we may hear what they have in store for Kenyans as they launch that. But in case you joined us, this is KBC News Check, and we are winding up. We are looking at financial freedom when it comes to matters, the festivities, and we are joined by a financial expert who is Peter Masharia. Perhaps to wrap it up, what can you advise Kenyans? Of course, there is overindulgence. We get road accidents, and in January we have the greens, as people like to put in memes. We have the cabbages and sukuma wiki taking over from the meat. As we wind up, final words.
I would like to urge my fellow Kenyans to take it easy. Christmas will come and go, so we should not overindulge. You should not drive and take these other substances. Let's be very sober, and also remember that come January 5th, we need school fees and we need to take our young ones to school. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Peter Macharia, a financial expert, guiding us on how we are supposed to inculcate saving culture and, of course, setting aside money for other eventualities, not only going for loans that we have not even saved for. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Ben Troy Njue Anwangeshi. Apologies, Susan Thuku has been our sign language interpreter for this second hour. Initially we had Lensa Odingo. Of course, I'm giving the baton to the Swahili desk. Ben Chumba, I can see he is on standby, who will be handling the Kurunzi Mashinani. Thank you so much for watching. Let's continue this conversation on social media.
The Masai Mara is one of the most productive ecosystems in the world.
In case I spot any animal with a problem or an injury, I can easily contact the people concerned.
In Maasai communities, women stay at home, but one woman, Lucy Rotican, has decided to defy these expectations.
It was hard, but I was trying like I should prove them I'll do it, but it took time before they accepted me in the field.
The presence of these animals makes the Masai Mara one of the most popular tourism destinations in Africa. This is Wildlife Warriors, and I'm Paula Kohombu.
We take it on at the right time. Honorable Musalia Mudavadi.
The Honorable Mutahi Kagwe.
Chief Justice Martha Karambuko.
This is KBC, is the voice of Kenya.
Asking the right questions.
I don't know how it made you feel as speaker who is presiding over a house where members can be compromised with 10,000 shillings.
We keep our guests comfortable. A mission to ensure our audience gets a complete story.
For a few hours or so, I thought this is it. My end has come.
If really we want an end of this pandemic, we must fight.
Our goal, to tell it as it is for the benefit of our viewer.
And I'm sure we will have good discussions.
All right.
That will make probably your viewers understand KDF better.
With 21 radio outlets.
During a live interview on KBC TV, Chief of Defense Forces General Robert Kibosha.
Jaji mkuu kwa mara ya kwanza katika mahojiano yake ya kipekee na runinga ya KBC Channel 1.
And 2 TV stations covering over 90% of the entire country. The message always gets home. KBC, the home of on-air TV interviews.
Tutanguliza kwa kauli kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ula an ra'iyatihi, yani kila mmoja ni mchunga na kila mmoja ataulizwa kuhusiana na kile ambacho amekichunga.
Tutaleaje watoto wetu? Je, tuwalea vipi watoto wetu? Je, watoto wetu wana maadili, ama je watoto wetu wana adabu, ama watoto wetu wana tarbia nzuri?
Log on to the KBC website